boom. All right, y'all. Episode 5.
Numero cinco.
Um,
5 times. Okay, I won't
episode
do it.
5. Yeah, at the time of this recording, which is pretty late on midnight, technically the 2nd now, March 2nd, Wednesday morning at midnight. There's a lot going on. We got the State of the Union that just wrapped a little while ago. We have the Texas primary that is popping off. It's way too close for comfort.
It's getting down to the wire.
And of course, the elephant in the room, Russia, Ukraine at war, which is awful. And there's so much going on there. So a lot to unpack, a lot to cover this episode. So buckle in.
Stay tuned. Buckle up.
Buckle up. Let's jump right into it. Let's just go right in. The Texas primary. We mentioned, last episode, 2 episodes ago, we mentioned the Texas primary. We spoke about the progressive candidates running, Jessica Cisneros and Greg Casar. Here we are now live at the time of the recording. The race is going on as we speak. Greg Casar has won by blowout. He's going to go on to the general and likely win. That is a blue district. Another blue district. Jessica Cisneros, she had a much more comfortable lead earlier today. Now it's it's uncomfortable, but 81% reported is good. So we'll see. What do you
81%.
think?
I mean, she's up by what, 3, maybe what, 4, almost 500 votes, bro. 400 and something votes. I mean, that's pretty good for 81% reported. She can hold.
It's good. We just don't know where we don't know where the rest of the votes are coming in from right now. So if they're coming from heavy, like, conservative districts, could be Cuellar.
Yeah, but I think at the time when she ran before and lost, it was also a close race, and
it was close.
I'm not sure.
But at this time, she already lost. By this time last race, she lost already.
That's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say I feel like the other guy already had like a substantial win at this point, whereas she's in the lead and she has a good. I mean, 400 or 500 votes. That's a lot, bro. Like she can hold that and take it in. And now, if she does win, I don't want to jump the chain here, but if she does take it, that's 2 brand new progressive candidates who do not take corporate PAC money in Congress. That's powerful.
Yeah.
Do we know if she's a Justice Democrat?
She is a Justice Democrat, yes. I
What
believe
about
they
this
both
Kazar? Oh my God, that's amazing. I might get the Justice Democrat tattoo on my body. Not sure.
There's another progressive that lost.
No,
this was for district attorney. Lee Merritt was the big progressive there, but he lost, unfortunately. He didn't come close, really, but he was endorsed by Bernie.
Damn.
Yeah, but it's all right. I mean,
Where's
if
that
these two can
race?
get
I
in,
don't
then
see it.
that's fine.
I mean, still a pretty good night for progressives.
Yeah, let's see. I hope this holds up. It'll be huge. If Cisneros can pull through. That's big. Unseating Henry Cuellar is big. He's very high up in the Democratic Party.
Right. Yeah. Also, obviously, complete corporatist. Might as well be a fucking Republican with the way he votes.
Yeah, he's in a lot of controversy right now. It's things are not looking good for him. But people like Nancy Pelosi still endorse him. So
horrible. I will say also, if you scroll up to the main governor race, we have Greg Abbott in Texas right now versus Beto O'Rourke. I think you mentioned Greg Abbott has over 1 million votes. There you go. Beto O'Rourke with 783, but easily taking the primary for the Democratic Party. Beto O'Rourke, another Democrat who is kind of more leaning on the. I mean, he has some good issues when it comes to social issues, but just like a regular Democrat, he's a complete corporatist. But he needs to beat Greg Abbott. You have no idea how bad Greg Abbott is for Texas. I mean, right now he's in a huge controversy where he is advocating to take trans kids away from their parents right now. Like he wants school to inform the authorities if there's any trans kids in their classes so that they may report and investigate the parents. I think this is a little step towards authoritarianism, and
100%
it's just a little, obviously I don't know what's his big deal is, but he's definitely playing into the most right wing fears when it comes to trans and the gay communities, LGBTQ rights. So
he's a complete bigot.
we need him to fucking lose, big time. He's also, I believe, the guy who when Texas had that huge snowstorm or something, like were you aware of this? He allowed the electric companies to save energy their way, and I don't know how to explain it too much. Are you aware of that story?
Yeah, he completely botched like that big cold front that came through Texas, and people died. A lot of stuff got fucked up in Texas, and he was just awful. He barely did anything to try to help people. He never took COVID seriously, ever. He never took COVID seriously. Right now, he's trying to take away abortion rights from women in Texas. He's awful.
Right.
He's fucking awful. And don't get it twisted. Beto O'Rourke is not a fucking progressive saint, but he's at the very least, he's a middle of the road Democrat who isn't going to try to do those awful things. Instead, he just will maybe do nothing. And I'd rather somebody do nothing than do awful things that Greg Abbott is doing.
Yeah. I want to go backwards
Beto O'Rourke, for anybody who doesn't know who he is, he ran against Ted Cruz in 2016, I think, something like that, 2018. And he ran as a progressive. He ran as a strong progressive for a while. At some point, when he was doing well in the polls, he decided to hire Obama's former campaign team. And they tanked his campaign into the ground. And he lost.
Right.
He was all
he started
Medicare.
Switching his positions, right?
Yeah, he was all for Medicare for all. He was progressive. And then once they took over, he abandoned Medicare for all completely. Once he abandoned Medicare for all, many progressives started to abandon him. And he lost.
His fucking polls dropped, kid. And he lost against Ted fucking Cruz.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't.
Who, by the way, did a horrible CPAC speech just recently.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just hella bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe we could touch on CPAC next week. There's too much going on to waste our time with conservative fucking garbage. Yeah, there's an actual war going on. Conservatives are talking about ridiculous things at that CPAC.
Yeah.
So this November, in the general, it's going to be Beto O'Rourke versus Greg Abbott for governor of Texas. Yeah, Beto has he's got to win.
We're gonna come back later today on the show for Jessica Cisneros and see how she's doing against Henry Cuellar. But right now, I feel like she's gonna hold. I know she's gonna hold. I'm pretty sure. Let's see what we got, man.
Yeah.
You want to start? Obviously, me and Denny, we're supposed to do this episode last week, but there was so much shit happening politically with Ukraine and Russia. We decided to like kind of take a break and see the type of information that's coming in, because it was, coming in day by day. We didn't want to do a podcast on it and then,
Yeah.
you
There's
know,
also a lot of false reports coming in, a lot of misinformation coming in from the war, a lot of fake
Mhm.
stuff from the war. So
and a lot of fog of war too, right? We don't know necessarily what's going on. I think Russia hit one of the telecommunication towers
they had a TV
in
tower, yeah.
Ukraine. Yes, yeah, a television tower, and in an attempt to just kind of slow down the news for Ukraine, and I'm sure that did a lot, of negative things for Ukraine, obviously. Um, so let's just start from the very beginning, man. Because not only are we gonna kind of update you guys or remind you guys of what's going on, if you haven't been paying attention, yes, Russia did in fact invade Ukraine around February 23rd. You know, and immediately Russia standpoint on that was, oh, they're attacking us. We're afraid that they're going to invade us. There's so many things that Russia's trying to portray themselves to be the victim and that they had to move in on Ukraine. Obviously, that's bullshit. No one in their right mind would ever attack Russia right now in the political, like in the global
Yeah.
world.
Russia is kind of in a position where they I don't know if saying that they have nothing to lose is accurate, but they're close to that. They're not
Mhm.
doing well. They haven't been doing well for a while, economically. Putin puts most of their funds into the military, which is why they have such a large military, which is why they have more nukes than the entirety of NATO combined. That includes the United States. So, you getting involved, there's a big debate whether or not the United States should get involved from a military standpoint. It's a roll of the dice. It's hard. We at this point we don't know what Putin is capable of and what he's thinking. He's starting to throw the word nuclear out there.
Yeah,
It's
I
a
mean,
good
he's
chance that he's just playing his cards and he's not really serious about that. I hope that that's
right.
the case. So we're gonna see. But
Well, he would have to hit. He would have to. Let's say. I mean, we don't want to get too much into like nuclear, you know, thought process here, but he has a whole bunch of targets to hit, and we all collectively as NATO have only one target to hit. So, if we do go to nuclear war, it'll be way worse for him than it would be for us, in my opinion.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, of course, for sure.
and I think he knows that. I mean, I know he knows that, and so yes, I believe he's also saying the nuclear word, just to kind of scare us into not entering and aiding Ukraine with more physical force, which is, by the way, we don't even need to. President Biden and allies around the world are doing a hell of a good job sanctioning his ass, to the point where the ruble is like 30% lower than what it used to be, or
Oh,
is like almost worthless, isn't it?
it's less than a penny. Yeah,
Oh my god, yeah. I mean, it's completely horrible.
yeah.
He's Biden has set up a task force to take away yachts, jets from rich oligarchs, properties, houses. You know, the his right now, Putin's economy is failing. The military, we're giving Ukraine military assistance, humanitarian assistance, economic assistance, up to $1 billion for Ukraine, helping them out in that, and of course supplying weapons and stuff like that. I mean, it's making a big difference, and Ukraine's actually hitting Russia back a little bit.
Yeah. One thing about that, I don't like the narrative too much that is everywhere. Not just mainstream media; it's everywhere that Russia isn't doing a good job, and
Hmm.
they're looking bad, and blah blah blah. They're looking bad. However, the whole narrative that Ukraine is they're standing strong and they're fighting back, and yeah. However, if Russia really wanted to do something and turn the tide and really make it look like they're not struggling, they can. They 100% can if they felt like it. And I
Hmm.
think that they will. I think I think the more we antagonize Putin, I think that he knows that and he'll start doing some crazy shit. He's already doing crazy shit
Right.
as early
I
as
mean,
today,
yeah,
you know?
he's attacking multiple residential buildings.
Yeah. He hit a
There's already.
something square, Freedom Square, or in one of the cities out there. I saw the video; it was awful. The missile just hitting the ground. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know the whole narrative that Russia is struggling and they're not doing a good job. I think that can turn around so fast. It can turn around so
Oh
fast.
yeah,
So
I mean I mean it's expected that he's going to bomb the main
Kiev.
city of Kiev. Yeah, he's gonna bomb the shit out of it pretty soon. But I think he's trying to prevent that. I think his initial plan is to prevent that. That's the reason why right now he's been having a lot of tanks run out of gas. He's not really prepared in terms of thought process a little bit when it comes to like just marching tanks straight into the city. I mean, there's tanks running out of gas. They're getting ripped by Turkish drones bought by the Ukraine army. They got planes in the air too. You know what I mean? Like it's not as easy as he thought. And also the sanctions that he's being hit with, I don't think he expected it at all, and it's really taken a toll. I think there was a video of him yelling on national TV, which shows a little bit of, you know, he's pissed, bro. It's not going as well as he thought it was. You know what I mean? I'm sure the oligarchs in Russia are pissed off that all their money has now resulted to zero because of this move.
Yeah.
Um,
That goes to what I just mentioned, like the whole tanks running out of fuel and stuff like that. I feel like that is already a thing of the past because there's now a 40-mile long column of
mhm.
tanks and fuel all going straight to Ukraine. That's a lot. That's a lot, a
Yeah.
lot, a lot he has heading over there. So it looked he looked really silly at first, but he's about to look really scary pretty soon if this keeps up.
Right. The President Zelensky of Ukraine, I mean, President Zelensky of Ukraine, he also issued out a request to get a no-fly zone adopted in Ukraine, which would be a horrible idea, in my opinion, because that would mean that U.S. and NATO forces would have to be flying into Ukraine air. And if any of Russians' planes go into Ukraine, we would have to shoot it down. That means that we will be in war. So it won't help anybody. You know what I mean? That's just going to entice Putin to start using those nukes
Hmm.
as he begins to lose more and more forces, and the morale of his army starts to drain. Um, so Biden already said that he will not be doing the no-fly zone, which I agree 100%. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I'm actually a little proud of to have President Biden as my president right now during this crisis. I mean, I think he's doing a phenomenal job with the sanctions and just having that balance of not enticing the war so much that we go to nuclear damnation and like also letting Putin know that you're not just gonna walk and do whatever the hell you want in Europe. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it's quite a situation, man, for sure. There's a lot of anti-protests happening right now, even in Russia. I mean, think about how brave those people are to go out there in Russia and protest the war. Obviously, over about 1,700 and 1,750 protesters have already been arrested just for simply protesting.
Yep.
I mean, gives you a new appreciation, a revitalized appreciation of being an American. You know what I mean? And having the ability to protest. But honestly, even Russia's ally in Belarus, there's protests happening all over that country as well
Yeah.
against the. So, I mean, there's high hopes that it's just a reminder that the Russian population is not the problem. It's just Putin. It's the fucking problem right now. You know
Yeah,
what I
of
mean?
course. Yeah. The Russian citizens shouldn't have to suffer because of this, and they're going to. With the ruble being less than a penny, they're going to suffer.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I think you had some information on what some of our Republican pundits and some of the dirtiest parts of America, what they have to say for the war.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Steve Bannon came out and said he praises Putin for what he's doing, and he's kind of a Putin apologist. I don't know what the fuck is wrong with these right wing
Yeah, there's a lot of
motherfuckers.
right wingers giving just the worst takes
What the
possible. I
fuck
mean,
are they talking about, man?
yeah, they're war hawks. They love this shit. They love war. War is business for them. It's profits for them. So they love it. They love this shit, and they posture as they they see Putin as a strong man. They view him as a strong man. So what he's doing is, to them, is being a leader, being strong. They admire what he's doing because they want to do it. They want to be able to do this too, without any criticism or without any backlash and stuff like that. So they're just giving the worst takes imaginable right now.
I
It's
mean,
comical. It's funny. It's pretty funny, to be honest. But it's silly. It's silly culture war bullshit as well that they're still feeding into
yeah.
because they know their base. They know that their base is all about that, owning the libs. They want to own the libs nonstop. And if that means taking Putin's side to own the libs, they'll do it. They'll do it.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen pictures of actual Republican voters, like saying, like, I'd rather be a Russian than a Democrat.
Yeah,
Like,
they
bro,
were
that
wearing
is the
T-shirts
most
with that on.
unpatriotic. We're all supposed to be Americans together, bro. You are the most un-American person ever to put that fucking shirt on, bro. You might as well just fucking move to Russia with that goddamn shirt.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And for an former president, President Trump, obviously, I'm talking about, to say that Putin's smart. I mean, you know, you might have already stuck your foot in your own fucking mouth, because Putin is fucking struggling right now, in my opinion, in terms of how hard he's being hit with the sanctions and shit like that. I mean, he may have to do a pullout of his forces after he bombs the shit out of it, though.
Yeah,
I mean, I think he'll never. I think he'll want to look strong before he does pull out. But I don't think he wants to bomb Ukraine to smithereens, because then what is he taking over? You know what I'm saying?
yeah. Also,
Is he
he
taking over
doesn't
rubble?
have the funds to occupy Ukraine.
Correct.
He can't occupy Ukraine. They don't have enough money. They're bleeding money right now.
Hmm.
So they can only stay there for so long. And the longer this goes on, the more money they're going to bleed. But like I said, if they're bringing the kind of military power that they're bringing, that it looks like they're bringing. We'll see.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, let's see, man. I think the Zelensky is pretty brave as a American. I mean, I'm sorry, as a Ukraine president. I mean, he's out there fighting with his people. He's trying to throw morale up for his men and women fighting in Ukraine. A lot of women are actually in the army, which is pretty cool. I think I saw the Klitschko brothers, the boxers. They've decided to join the army. A lot of celebrities that are well known in Ukraine
Mm-hmm.
have, went on their social medias and said, "We're joining the army. We're protecting our country."
Vasyl
I mean, it's
Lomachenko,
very, yeah, it's hella
another
inspiring, bro.
boxer. Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh my god.
It's wild. I mean, that's a lot of these countries, um, a lot of these smaller countries are like that. They're a bit more on the nationalist side because they don't have the kind of support that superpowers have. So
Hmm.
they have more of a togetherness and more will to fight for their home,
Hmm.
which is impressive, and it's brave, of course. I I'll be honest. I spoke to my girlfriend Bianca about this not too long ago. We were talking about the same thing about Zelensky staying and not wanting to evacuate, and he wants to stay and fight.
Yeah.
I don't know if I don't know if I would be willing to do that for my country, for this country in particular. At least in the state that it's in today. Just this is just me personally. I don't I'm not particularly proud to be an American as it exists today. So in a hypothetical situation, if we were being invaded and I had the option, I had the option, stay and fight. Here's some weapons, here's some equipment, stay and fight, or we can successfully bring you to a third world country and guarantee your safety. I would guarantee my safety and get the fuck out. I would just get the fuck out.
Yeah.
That's just me because I don't know. I don't see, what exactly are we fighting for that other places don't have? You understand?
Hmm.
Even if we were to go to, like, obviously these are not third world countries, but like the UK or Germany or Spain, you know, Scandinavian nations, they don't have any kind of restrictions on freedoms that would differ from America. You understand?
Right.
And if anything, they have better policies in a lot of the times, a lot of the case, when it comes to healthcare, especially, they're way better than us when it comes to that. So I don't know, just a thought.
Now, yeah, I mean, it's interesting that you brought it up. For me, I think that I probably would stay and fight only because, you know, yes, me and you are both hella fucking pissed off at how this country is. That's true. But look at what we're doing, man. We have our own podcast. We're trying to make this country better because we know what it can be. Corporatists took over this country and they bended the rules towards their favor. But look at the race that we're covering today. The 35th district and the 28th district in Texas. We have two brand new progressives joining Congress already with like 13 others. 14. I mean, every year that's going to get bigger and bigger as our policies get more popular and popular. And then just because of those wins, this country's worth fighting for, to me personally. And I also think to you, you have the conversation with your woman, but sometimes you need to talk to your boy. You know what I'm saying? I mean, who knows? You know what I mean? I mean, there's definitely a glimmer of hope in America. And personally, I'll just defend it. I'll defend it. But that's just me, and it is an interesting question. And I know how you feel, right? You want to get the fuck out. Fuck you, motherfucker. I'll tell you one thing though. I would never. I'll say this. I would never go to another country and fight for us, like in our name, under this government, particularly this corrupt government. I would never just go off I wouldn't have got drafted to go fight fucking Russia. You understand? I would definitely protest against that. But if anybody attacked my homeland, no, I have to fight. But that's just me.
Yeah.
But it's something to think about.
Yep.
What else we got here on the fucking table? Did you hear that Switzerland also joined in the fray of freezing the assets of Putin and some of the oligarchs over there? Switzerland is known to be like just hella neutral. I mean, I've learned that when I was like in 3rd, 4th grade, how neutral Switzerland is.
Yeah.
And a lot of rich people all around the world, not just Russia, they have their shit in Switzerland, right? They have their assets in Switzerland. They're large stashes of money. So for Switzerland to go, hey, Putin, I bet you didn't see this coming. We're freezing your assets too. I mean, that was a huge hit on Putin, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And his little rich friends. And it's all just going to continuously put pressure. If you're a whole bunch of rich guys in Russia and you're all just as rich as Putin, but Putin's the leader, obviously, at this point, what Putin's actions are doing is making you not rich. It's jeopardizing your whole way of life and your whole whatever the fuck you done to get all that money. Whatever sleazy cheeseball shit you did. But regardless of how you did it and how you got that money, you're pissed that it's gone. You know what I'm saying? I can see a fucking coup happening in fucking Russia if it goes a little too long, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? It's either a coup or he backs out. Or he destroys Ukraine and then backs out because he still can't handle it. The sanctions will still be there. And the more damage that he does in Ukraine, especially once, let's say, you kill the Ukrainian president, like once he's dead or something shit like that, it's just going to be worse and worse. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, I mean, that's my take on it, on the Ukraine. I mean, see what happens, man.
Yeah, it's really scary. It's scary shit. What's going on? Obviously, I hope it ends sooner than later. I don't think that it will.
Oh, wait, hold on here. Okay, so just so you know, Jessica Cisneros with 85% reported. She just got another 200 vote lead from 500,000 to 700,000. Actually, it might be even more than that. 900,000 vote lead. That's
no,
my
that's
fucking
not.
math.
You mean
Right?
900,000. There's not even
900
900,000
votes.
voters here.
No, I meant 900 votes. I'm sorry. But still, it went from 500 votes from when we first opened up the podcast
it
to
increased,
900. So, looks like we might have some 2 Congress people inside fucking Congress, man. It's happening, bro.
All right, so today with the State of the Union from Joe Biden. I saw most of it personally. I thought it was a pretty typical State of the Union from a Democrat. A lot of platitudes, a lot of empty promises.
A lot of empty promises.
A lot of sounding progressive, but we all know what that's about. They sound progressive to get everybody on their side,
right,
and then end up doing absolutely nothing.
So what exactly is he saying that sounds progressive, right? So when he talks about lowering prescription cost, making insulin, cheaper for people with diabetes, having the rich pay their fair share of taxes, and the whole fucking rest of these bitch ass politicians, Democrat and Republican, are all applauding all that shit. Talking about infrastructure, and also talking about COVID, making sure everyone's safe for COVID. I mean, that's obvious. They're all duh things, but aside from the COVID thing, which I think he's done a pretty good job with, all those other things are just something it sounds good. That's what Denny's talking about, right? Denny's talking about those are fake progressive. He's a fake progressive because he's a corporate Democrat, Biden. At the end of the day, that's why me and Denny, we vouch for real progressives like Bernie Sanders or Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, ones that actually want to lower the drug prescriptions, raise the minimum wage, have corporations taxed to the motherfucking hell, or at least fairly. But that's what Denny means. So go ahead, Denny.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of that stuff. A lot of stuff where as he's talking, I'm just like, who's going to pass that? Who's going to pass it? You? You're not going to pass it. The Democrats aren't going to. The Democrats will try to pass it. It may pass the House. Ain't getting past the Senate. It's not getting past Joe Manchin. It's not getting past Kristen Sinema. So
it will never get past those people. And he actually mentioned student debt in the State of the Union as well, which is something that he can fucking change with a stroke of a pen, bro. Executive order style. He's acting like, oh, come on, guys, let's all do this. Motherfucker, you do it.
Yep.
You do it, guy.
People who don't know any better, people who don't consume progressive news, they'll eat it up. They'll eat it all up. And they'll fall for the same bullshit that they fall for all the time. All the time. Obama did this. They all do this. Clinton did this. They all do this. They'll sound incredibly progressive, and by the time their term is up, they'll say, well, the Republicans didn't want to help. Well, we couldn't get a vote on this, and they'll shift the blame elsewhere, and they'll continue to sound progressive and essentially do nothing, take money from the same people Republicans take money from, and they'll go on with their lives and be rich, just like Nancy Pelosi with her fake smile and her fake clap. I can't stand her.
Yeah. I mean,
we could take a look at this. This is Biden addressing the Russian invasion of Ukraine.
Together, along with our allies, we are right now enforcing powerful economic sanctions. We're cutting off Russia's largest banks and
Denny, I will say this. You told me earlier, you didn't like the whole speech, right? I had to disagree. I actually did think that Biden did sound strong when he was talking about Ukraine. So just something to think about as the audience listens to him. Then he thinks he's a piece of shit. Fucking words are empty as hell. And I actually did like what he said. I mean, I wanted to know more or less what the was he doing, right? Like, I wanted to know this. And I was happy with what he said. But let's go.
International financial system. Preventing Russia's central bank from defending the Russian ruble. Making Putin's $630 billion war fund worthless. We're choking Russia's access. We're choking Russia's access to technology that will sap its economic strength and weaken its military for years to come. Tonight, I say to the Russian oligarchs and the corrupt leaders who built billions of dollars off this violent regime, no more.
He looks like a fucking dwarf.
One of the most corrupt Democrats there is. He's the next one that has to go.
This guy looks like a fucking goblin.
Look
at this guy. All he needs is an axe.
Yep. I mean it. The United States Department of Justice is assembling a dedicated task force to go after the crimes of the Russian oligarchs. We're joining with European allies to find and seize their yachts, their luxury apartments, their private jets. We're coming for your ill-begotten gains. And tonight, I'm announcing that we will join our allies in closing off American airspace to all Russian flights, further isolating Russia and adding additional squeeze on their economy. He has no idea what's coming. The ruble has already lost 30% of its value. The Russian stock market has lost 40% of its value, and trading remains suspended. The Russian economy is reeling, and Putin alone is the one to blame. Together with our allies, we're providing support to the Ukrainians in their fight for freedom. Military assistance, economic assistance, humanitarian assistance. We're giving more than $1 billion of direct assistance to Ukraine, and will continue to aid the Ukrainian people as they defend their country and help ease their suffering.
I mean, that's what else can you do? You know what I mean?
Our forces are not engaged and will not engage in the conflict with Russian forces in Ukraine. Our forces are not going to Europe to fight Ukraine, but to defend our NATO allies in the event that Putin decides to keep moving west. For that purpose, we have mobilized American ground forces, air squadrons, ship deployments to protect NATO countries including Poland, Romania, Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia. And as I've made crystal clear, the United States and our allies will defend every inch of territory that is NATO territory with the full force of our collective power. Every single inch.
All right.
Yo, look at this guy's fucking forehead. What the fuck? It's like Ukraine right there on his fucking forehead. Oh man. All right. Well, I mean, listen. I liked it. He looked strong, bro. I won't lie. He looks strong to me.
Yeah,
it's important, man. I mean, all he did was talk about our position in the war.
Sure. I mean, looking strong and sounding strong is one thing, especially when it comes to a corporate Democrat. Being strong and doing the right thing is another. Now, I'm not an expert in, military strategy or foreign policy or anything like that. So it's really, really hard to say what the right thing is to do with this war. It's tough because Putin has been pretty unpredictable. The war itself has been pretty unpredictable across the board. Mm-hmm. So it's hard to say what the right thing is to do for the United States. Because on one hand, sure, the sanctions are great, but they also affect the Russian people who are blameless and innocent. Stuff like this, closing airspace, is fine. It's not gonna stop the war in any way, of course. These things to me feel like a low bar to clear. I feel like any Democratic president put in this position would do the exact same thing, corporate or not, would probably do the exact same thing, because there isn't much else to do but that. We can't send in our own troops, or else we're risking an even worse war with Russia. So the most we can do is sanctions and military aid. Sanctions and military aid. That's the most we can do at the moment. Of course, unless Russia hits a NATO territory, then as he said, it's going to be a different story, which makes sense. So, sure, he sounds strong and looks strong, but these are all to me aesthetics that don't matter in the grand scheme of things. You know, I want the US to do everything in its power to one, end the war, and
Get
and
that guy out of my face, bro. That guy's fucking hella ugly, bro.
to one, end the war, and two, avoid more war from happening, avoid things from getting worse. So, you know, I hope that these sanctions are going to make Russia stop and make Putin stop and make him realize, oh shit, they're really fucking us up here with all these sanctions. I don't think that that's going to happen, and I think it's going to get much worse before it gets better. So,
Okay.
you know,
With that, okay, I understand. For me, I think that the sanctions are working pretty hard, especially when the United States decided to sanction Putin himself. I mean, that must have obviously. I know Putin has some money stored in other countries, but that's why it's important that Switzerland joined the fray and sanctioned him too. So he just lost a whole nother chunk of money right then and there. You know what I mean? But with that being said, you have to have that balance where, like I said earlier, he's sanctioning Putin, but he's not doing so much that he's risking nuclear war. His decision to do a no-fly zone in Ukraine, even though the president of Ukraine is saying, I need this, like, give this to me. Or saying no, because listen, bro, at the end of the day, we can't do that. Or we may risk the planet with nukes. You know what I mean? Like, we're not going to do that for you. You know what I mean? You need to hold him off while we sanction him, and then he's going to have to retreat on his own.
right.
That's what's got to happen. You know what I mean? So I think when you know those types of things, the speech was strong. At least that part of the speech was strong. He goes on and talks about other things that are, as we talked about before, fake promises. But I really did like how strong think about this like this. He could botch it, right? He could be a President Trump who used to brag that he has a bigger nuclear button than Kim Jong-un. I mean, you have fucking night and day over here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's why I mentioned Democratic president, because Republican president, I wouldn't trust them at all when it comes to this type of situation. You know, they would be probably just as unpredictable as Putin. But when it comes to a
Right.
Democratic president, I don't think we would have seen anything much different here today, regardless of who the president was. I think we would have seen the exact same thing from any Democratic president, anyone.
Yeah, which comes to my point. Like, then he's doing a pretty good job. You know what I'm saying? He's doing a pretty good job. Unless you're just talking about the speech itself. That you're like, yeah, he's doing a good job, but I don't like this speech.
Well, the
Speech is
speech itself,
basically-
once again, is just aesthetics. You know, how he sounds and how
Right.
he looks.
Right.
Regardless if it's strong or not, I don't care about that personally. I really don't care about that. I could really, really care less. As far as what he's doing in response to the war, I think he's just doing whatever he can do. You know what I mean? Whatever
So
they
you're
have the
approving,
ability to do without making things worse is just what they're doing. And I think that whether
Is the
it's
best
him
route.
there, whether it's Bernie Sanders there, whether it's Obama there, whether it's Bill Clinton there, I think they would have done the exact same thing, because it's like, here's what you can do to, you know, make some sort of an impact on Russia, and here's what you can do to make shit worse. I don't think any Democratic president would go there. They would just hit the sanctions, hit the airspace, hit stuff like that, military aid, and that's it. Because, you know, there's only so much that you can do today, you know, as it stands today.
I would say this as well. If these sanctions prove to be extremely effective, where they and they alone will make Putin kind of retreat and back out of Ukraine, this sets a huge precedent. Sorry, I say that word wrong all the time. Precedent. For China. You know, a lot of people are saying, "Oh, if Putin can do this, then China could just come in and swoop in and take Taiwan." But if China sees the economic isolation and economic impact that Russia is going through right now, they may have to back the fuck up before they even think about starting to move forward. You know, with a crazy move like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think China might be a different situation only because they're not in the financial trouble that Russia is in.
Oh yeah, definitely
And
not.
the United States relies on China a lot for everything, for outsourcing, for products, for a lot. Obviously, one of the biggest issues we have here is that we're not creating jobs for Americans to, make products and things like that. Those are all being outsourced to China because it's cheaper. So I think the U.S. would think twice before sanctioning China, if it really came to it.
Yeah, but think of all the businesses that China may have with some of the NATO forces. I mean, the NATO countries, right? I mean, remember, you fuck with one, you fuck with all of us, and they're gonna take a huge hit too. You know what I mean? They'll take a huge hit too, and it's kind of cool, but it's kind of bad, but kind of cool because it's kind of bad because it's like, damn, we're all intertwined so much with each other that like it's kind of devastating if one person decides to devastate us. One country decides to devastate another, they can, but it keeps all of us in check so that we're not doing physical imperialism on each other throughout the whole world with our big armies. You know what I mean? Russia is the only exception to this because they're desperate and they have no money, and so they're just moving in trying to take Ukraine. But them taking Ukraine is one step closer to I think what Poland. Poland's right next to Ukraine, which is a NATO, and that's not good. That ain't good. Unless Putin takes Ukraine and just stops right there, and they create a huge wall, and that's it. You know what I mean? But I don't know. So it is interesting.
Yeah, I mean,
All the stuff
when
that's
it
kind
comes
of
to
coming out.
imperialism and invading countries and stuff like that, obviously the United States is is pretty good at that. They're really good at that.
And China too, but China does it more in an economic standpoint, like businesses and just
Yeah,
money.
yeah. The U.S. is the number one imperialist. I mean, we destroy countries left and right. I mean, the United States just bombed Syria not too long ago. I think a few days ago, and nobody cares. Nobody cares
You know,
because Syria is poor. Syria has
right?
brown people,
I was
and
just about to
they're
say that.
looked at as nothing, as expendable,
Yeah,
as
I mean, we're
terrorists.
bombing we're bombing Somalia right now, and also we're
Somalia,
giving
yeah, that's what
weapons.
I meant. Somalia,
Oh, you meant
I
Somalia?
meant
Okay.
Somalia. Yep.
I just, yeah, I thought Syria was a little bit in the past there. In my mind, I was like, "Damn, we bombed Syria again. Damn, we're fucking assholes, dude." I
Yeah.
wouldn't, I wouldn't put it past us.
No, of course not. The
Oh.
United States bombs whoever they feel like bombing.
Yeah, but when you think about it, like what's happening in Ukraine, like you just mentioned, it's happening right now in Somalia. No one gives a fuck about Somalia.
It's
No one gives a
happening
fuck about Yemen because they're
Yemen.
brown people. The Middle Eastern Yemen, yeah, they're brown people. They're Middle Eastern people, and the thing is, Ukraine is white.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They look like us. Or you or Biden. Not me. I'm with the Middle
There's
Easterns.
been awful, awful racist coverage on NBC, on a lot of these stations where there was a white lady who straight up just said, this is different from any other country getting attacked because these people, they look like us. They have blonde hair and blue eyes and they're civilized. It's
Oh,
awful, awful, awful,
that's
awful, dude.
racism. Racism don't give a fuck, right? I heard that. Actually, I didn't hear. I saw. There's there's black people in Ukraine, and they're trying to escape Ukraine just like anyone else. You know what I'm saying? And
They're having a hard
they're
time.
not being let in. They're not being let out of the fucking country.
Yep.
They're like being left there fucking dead right now, bro. Like it's hard for them to get on the buses and shit.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like I said, racism just it knows no bounds, man. And
It's
you need to
awful.
stomp that shit out as soon as it comes out. You just need to it comes up. You need to stomp that shit right the fuck out.
Yeah, it's
What are we looking
awful.
at
I mean,
here?
if there's a takeaway from this, is don't just care and pay attention when it's one non-US country invading another non-US country. You know what I mean? Pay attention when the United States does it too, because they do it often. They do it
Right.
quite often to a lot of specifically Middle Eastern countries, because they see those people as nothing. They see those people as poor terrorists who want to hurt the United States. And, you know,
Oh, that's the propaganda that they're throwing.
that's the
In
propaganda.
reality,
Yeah,
they're,
that's the
they're killing
excuses that
poor
they're
people
using.
and they're killing children just as much as the children are dying in Ukraine. There's
Yeah.
children being bombed in fucking Somalia right now and Yemen, and we're financing that type of killing.
Yeah,
And
we're
it's
literally
just
financing Saudi Arabia so that they could bomb Yemen. We're giving them all the weapons that they need to bomb Yemen. They're a fascist country, and they're our ally. So that, I mean, really absorb that, what that means, and pass it
having such
on.
a
Let people know it's incredibly important.
stop having such a American rotten brain. Fucks.
Yeah,
Fucking audience of ours. You make me sick. I'm just kidding. Oh man, I'm fucking stressed. You gotta laugh at this shit because I'm stressed, bro.
yeah. All right, we're
I
recording.
don't understand it, so you start this.
Yeah. So this, to touch on this quickly, we're not going to spend a ton of time on this, but this was on the 21st. So a new Republican amendment to Florida's Don't Say Gay bill would legally require schools to inform parents within 6 weeks of learning if a student is any sexual orientation other than straight, even if it would lead to abuse, neglect, or abandonment. The bill already requires schools to inform parents if they find out a student is not straight, but it currently has an exception if the school suspects the information would lead to abuse, neglect, or abandonment. This amendment would explicitly remove that exception. This is awful. This is terrible. This is, we're going backwards. This is part of this country that I mentioned earlier that I'm not proud of and not willing to fight for. I'm not willing to fight for this ever at all. This should not be a thing in 2022. You know what I mean? This is crazy. This is insane.
Is this just a bill that's proposed or was it passed?
This is passing. This is going right through.
Oh man, in Florida, huh?
This is awful. This is terrible. I mean, would legally require schools to inform parents within 6 weeks of learning if a student is any sexual orientation other than straight. That's disgusting.
How would you know if a student's straight or gay? You know,
It's literally just hearsay. Listening to someone, if they hear a boy talk with a lisp, that's it, bro. That's it. They're it's a wrap. It's disgusting. It's sad. I feel bad for anyone who isn't straight that lives in Florida.
yeah, that's horrible, man.
It's a huge
Florida, it's such a purple state, and they're trying so hard to be like all red. You know what I mean? But that's not gonna fly with most of the parents in Florida, bro. Even probably some conservative parents that already
would hope
fucking
so.
accepted the fact that that gay is there. I mean, you might have some kind of pushback with trans, but gay, you know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah, but yeah, I mean,
You know,
regardless.
what if you're the parent of a gay student and now they're like, oh, your son's gay? I'm like, I know. What's the problem?
Anything, bro. Yeah,
Well,
anything.
he's
Even if you're
gay. Okay, what's the problem? I don't understand.
yeah, even if you're a parent of a trans child, and
Right.
they tell them, did you know your child is trans? You know, it,
Yes, he likes his hair long. I figured out when he wanted me to brush his fucking hair. I understood.
it, it's horrible. We like to talk about how we're the freest country in the world. This is not free. This is the opposite. This is the complete opposite of free.
Right. And this is also like, a lot of conservatives like to say, oh, let's keep government out of our lives, like big government, big government. This is hella big government right now. This is big government. Like, get the fuck out of our fucking
That's
lives.
why they're all
Get
hypocrites.
the fuck out of our fucking women's bodies and shit. Like, you're only big government. You're only against big government when it's, caters to your fucking feelings. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, of course.
And you're small government when it's not. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. It's. I mean, we wonder why we're allied with Saudi Arabia. This is why, because this is exactly how they are. This is literally how they are. Worse. They're worse, I should say. But still, this is.
what's that thing down there in the bottom? Conservative. The intense fear that somewhere, somehow, someone you think is inferior is being treated as your equal.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Definitely fear.
Oh, they're everything is
afraid of their own
fear.
shadow. My shadow's black.
Yeah.
I want it to be white.
Yeah. It's all about fear for them. Through and through is all about fear. Whether it's inflicting fear or whether they're the ones who are fearful. That's what it's all about.
Yep. What a shame.
Yeah. All right.
Of
All right. So a bit of an update.
wow.
Progressives take another L. Something we're quite used to. Looks like Henry Cuellar, someone who belongs in prison, is going to win.
What the fuck? Out of nowhere, 95% reported. It went from like 86% reported from the last time we checked to 95, and he just took the lead completely.
Yeah.
By almost a little bit more than 1,000. She was just up by 1,000 when we last checked. It's crazy. That means he got 2,000 just
Yeah,
like that.
That's why I mentioned earlier, we don't know what districts are left, to count votes from, and if they're fairly conservative or just anti-progressive, that's it. So that's an L. That's a big L there. It sucks for Jessica Cisneros. At least we got one progressive in, so one is better than zero. So much for that.
Man, I bet you he never debated her either.
Yeah.
Like, I bet you we were to try to see if he debated her. He never did.
Yeah.
Because he knows he'll get slammed, bro.
Yeah, I mean, these corporate Democrats don't have to do much to win. They've proven that. I mean, Joe Biden proved that. They don't have to do that much.
God.
They can just win. They have the mainstream media on their side.
Well, it's still 95% reported. I mean, it should be. I mean, 5% could make a difference, right? 1,000 votes, 5%? No?
That's tough. That's tough.
Yeah, man. Oh, that stung a little bit, man, for me. Stung a little bit. I won't lie.
He's facing a fight for his political life from the left, from Jessica Cisneros. She had challenged him 2 years ago. It was a close race then. You can see right now Cisneros is leading Cuellar with what has come in, but there are two very important things to keep in mind as the final votes come in the 28th District of Texas. Number one, we don't have any of the votes yet in from this county, from Starr County. This is right on the border. This is expected to be a very strong county for Henry Cuellar. He won it overwhelmingly over Cisneros when they ran 2 years ago. So Cuellar is going to make up a lot of ground with what's still to come in Starr County. It's a long way of saying, Stephanie, I think it's possible that Cuellar is going to end up leapfrogging Cisneros and taking the lead when all the votes are counted here. But the rule in Texas is you got to get 50% plus one to avoid the runoff. Right. And you see here with the third candidate getting about 4.5% of the vote, I think what's very likely here is that neither Cuellar nor Cisneros hit 50%. They finish very close to one another, and that means they would then both advance to a runoff. And so these same two candidates who've been really going at it here for the last few months would then continue in a fight that would be settled in a runoff on May 24th. This is a race that's gotten national attention.
She still has a chance.
AOC's endorsed Cisneros. National progressive groups have been behind her. They've had Cuellar targeted for years. We may not get resolution now until May 24th. One other congressional race, this one on the Republican.
Yeah,
Who
so
gives a fuck about Republicans? Oh, that's great news. Then
there's still a chance.
There you go. And then if she needs to challenge him for a debate, bro,
that won't do anything. That won't help.
So
that'll just be entertainment for progressives. That won't change anybody's mind. What has to happen is awareness. Now, if this ends in a runoff, now there needs to be that same kind of awareness that the country had when those two Democrats were running in Georgia. Those two Democrats who people really knew nothing about, but because it was such an important vote, everybody tuned in and a lot of people voted and both Democrats won. That has to happen here. There has to be a lot of attention on this. There has to be a lot of awareness on this so that people know exactly what the deal is, and the voter turnout is even bigger than what it is here. Bigger voter turnout equals progressives winning, always.
And they shall have up to May 24th to do that.
Yeah, so it's going to be a runoff. Ugh. All right, well, that's that for the Texas primary. Let's move on. So what's going on here? You know more about this than I do.
Yes, so a former New York City police union boss, this guy was very right wing, very Trump leaning politics, extremely against Black Lives Matter. Basically was all about saying that Democrats are not tough enough on crime. All this bullshit he's been spewing throughout his whole career. And the whole time he stole up to $1 million of union dues and copped it for himself. What he was doing was he was inflating some of the bills that he would put on the credit card. He was inflating it and, saying that it cost this much when it really cost way less than that. And then he was copping the profits for himself. And just a total piece of shit. And he got caught. So this is a story I learned from a progressive news source, the Young Turks, and a conspiracy covered it with Cenk Uygur. It was ridiculous. I was flawed by it.
To federal authorities yesterday following charges that he had actually stolen up to $1 million from the New York Police Union.
So, guys, I would just want to make clear, as we're going to give you the details here, this is one of the worst guys in the country who kept saying, oh, cops are awesome. No one should ever question cops, and we should get to profile minorities, and we should get to do everything we want. And the other guys are soft on crime.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, he's been stealing from his own officers, from the union of the officers. They paid dues into that union, and he stole from them. He's been the real criminal all along. Meanwhile, high and mighty, I am a right-winger. and the minorities are guilty, and we need to crack down on them.
He's protecting his checkings account and serving himself. Duh.
Yeah, well, you'll see in the details.
Yeah, the details are pretty amazing. Now, the Manhattan U.S. Attorney issued a statement about this case saying, as alleged, Edward Mullins, the former president of the SBA, abused his position of trust and authority to fund a lavish lifestyle that was paid for by the monthly dues of the thousands of hardworking sergeants of the NYPD. Mullins submitted hundreds of phony expense reports to further his scheme, stealing hundreds of thousands of dollars from the SBA. That's the Sergeants Benevolent Association, the union that he stole from. Now, hundreds of thousands of dollars doesn't even really describe it. He stole $1 million. Like, let's keep it real. And here's what we know about it so far. So Williams said Mullins defrauded the union by using his personal credit card to pay for meals at high-end restaurants and to pay for clothing, jewelry, home appliances, and a relative's college tuition, among other things. Mullins then submitted false and inflated expense reports to the SBA. Between 2017 and October of 2020, Mullins sought reimbursement for those bills as legitimate SBA expenditures, when in fact they were not. So let's give you a few of these items that he had filed expense reports for. For instance, if the actual cost of a meal was $522.55, which is like, what is he eating? Where is he eating?
First of all, he shouldn't be charging that at all.
Right.
That's his personal meal.
Can you imagine?
It's not like a bunch of sergeants went out and they had like a massive meal at a diner and it was hard. That's his personal, unbelievable bill to begin with.
That's just what he eats.
Extra fraud he's going to do on top.
Yeah. Yes, Jack. I had a nice lavish dinner at Mastro's Steakhouse. I just need you to sign off on this expense report.
Like she's saying, if that happened here.
Yeah.
Right?
No.
Yo, Denny, could you imagine if you were a policeman who knew about this guy and completely agreed with his politics, completely agreed with everything he was saying politically, and you just fucking really idolized him? He's like high up in the food chain, you know, and you find out he did this. He was robbing from you. You know what I mean? Like, think about all the police officers that know him or know of him. And they're like, holy shit, this son of a bitch was robbing us for 3 fucking years, bro. You know what I mean? Like, I would love to know what the overall thought would be from like a lot of the majority of cops. Like, I would love to see a poll from the cops on how they feel about this. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because, you know,
there's no,
cops often take that corruption. You know, cops have this little bit of a frame that, they abuse their power and shit like that. But like, you like to abuse your power. Well, look at your boss. He was really abusing his power on your ass. You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you feel about that, motherfucker? Yeah. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
People like, I'm sure there's a lot of people like him in the NYPD. You know what I mean? And, they'll stick together to a point. They'll stick together when it comes to, these Black Lives Matters protests and, woke stuff. They'll be totally against that. But when it comes to stealing money from each other, it's all good.
Nah.
I mean, it would be a joke. No way. Anyway, but let me continue. If the actual cost of the meal was $522.55, Mullins would seek reimbursement from the SBA for $822.55 and pocket the difference. In April of 2021, Mullins charged a $45.92 charge to an $845.92 charge at a wine bar in New Jersey, a $609.89 charge to a $909.89 charge at a steakhouse restaurant, and like the list goes on and on. He would, first of all, have insanely expensive meals in the first place, which I feel like that should already be a huge red flag, but that wasn't good enough. He would inflate how much the bill was just so he could pat his pockets a little bit afterwards. He's like, a little steak, a little lobster, I'm really enjoying myself, but I'd like a little cash too. So let me go ahead and file an expense report that inflates how much I spent for this lavish dinner so I can, take home some money as well. Insane.
So the funny thing is he's not giving in the receipts because he can't. So why bother changing $45 to $845? Like, you could make up any number. Well, you could make it 800, you could make it 900. You're not giving the receipt because the receipt says $45. And we know because the investigation showed he didn't give the receipts. In fact, he started the crime spree when they changed accountants or something like that. The person who was supposed to keep track of the receipts didn't ask him for receipts. He's like, yes, I finally get to steal as much as I wanted. Remember, this guy is the head of the cops union. The one who said that he was irate at the left wing, huge Donald Trump supporter, of course, irate at the left wing because they weren't stopping crime enough.
Oh, okay.
Meanwhile, at the same exact time, not later, at the same exact time, he's like, give me the Bob's dues and Joe's dues and Susie's dues, all of my fellow cops, I'm gonna steal from them. By the way, why is he a Donald Trump fan? Because like Donald Trump, he's a con man. And so he thinks that Donald Trump's a really successful criminal. I would love to be a really successful criminal like him.
Right.
You know, Donald Trump has stolen, I don't know, billions. With all the money that he's defrauded his investors and et cetera. He's like, I only stole $1 million. I'm just trying to catch up, okay? He criticized Bill de Blasio's daughter for attending a Black Lives Matter protest because that encouraged criminality. He stole $1 million from his fellow cops. But that is the right-wing mind. He thinks, yeah, of course, I'm allowed to steal anything I like. I get to rule over you. I get to take your stuff. That's law and order. I take it.
I would love.
A black guy does something, a criminal, because in his mind, he's guilty for being black, not for doing something wrong. And he's
I would love
innocent,
to see,
even though he did something.
how much time he gets for something like this.
It won't be a lot.
You don't think it would?
No.
It has to be.
I don't think
It has to be. I think people try to, do a little slap on the wrist. I get it. We've seen why they do slap on the wrist when they kill unarmed black people. We've seen it. I don't get it, but I know why they're doing it, right? They're trying to look out for each other. But when you have a blatant crime like this, where it's like, no, you were doing this shit for 3 fucking years and you stole over $1 million. What slap on the wrist could you give somebody like this? Yeah, you were a cop, so what? You stole from cops. It's not like you stole from a normal person, you stole from cops.
I think
it's like when the rich people, with that guy, who's that rich guy that stole from other rich guys? Was it Murdoch?
Bernie Madoff.
Or something like that? Bernie Madoff. Yeah, you can steal from anybody you want. You just can't steal from other fucking rich people. You know what I mean? Like, I'm so curious to see. I'm gonna pay attention to this. I want to see him go fucking down. And you know what? I want to see him go down, and I want to see if he fucking does get a slap on the wrist, because that shit will be fucking nuts if he gets slap on the wrist, bro.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see him spending more than like 2 years in prison. I think.
Oh,
I think
no, he's getting at least on 10. He should be getting 20 years in prison. I'm sorry, not 20 years. I'm sorry, not 20 years. He should be getting like 12, 15 years in prison. Okay.
Not gonna happen.
Okay, so under 10, in my opinion, 7, 8 years. And that would be a slap on the wrist.
I think he gets sentenced. This is just speculation. I think he gets sentenced to 5 and gets out in 2.
Oh, we're gonna see, Denny, because that shit will grind my gears if he fucking gets a slap in the wrist like that, bro. You should see. Do you see the picture I sent you of him? The little picture when you click play on the video. That's him.
Yep.
Look how smug he looks, dude.
Yep.
I just want to fucking slap him. Anyway.
Something wrong because he's white.
By the way, I mean, he was collecting 2 salaries. Part of that had to do with being a full-time union boss. The other part, serving in the NYPD. Serving
himself in the NYPD.
Yeah. So in 2020, Mullins made more than $220,000 between those 2 jobs, and then he was also stealing from the union that he was, the leader of. Like, The greed is amazing to me. It's amazing. There's no end to how greedy these scammers are. It's absolutely disgusting. Now, what does this all mean? Well, he is charged with 1 count of wire fraud, which carries a maximum sentence of 20 years in prison. After he pleaded not guilty at arraignment, Mullins was released on a $250,000 personal recognizance bond. Under the terms of his release, he was ordered to surrender his passport and turn in his weapon. So,
oh wow, are they not merciful? Why is this guy out of prison? This guy is a notorious criminal.
Yeah.
I mean, if some guy on the street steals $50 and he can't afford bail, he'll sit in prison for years. And you're gonna give this guy bail? Give him 20 years. Look, you have to prove your case. You have to show that he actually did it. If he actually did it, there's no reason why this notorious criminal shouldn't get at least 20 years. Thanks for watching The Young Turks.
You know, I made up 20 years. I don't know if in my brain, because I did see the video in the past. I don't know if I remembered that in my brain somehow, but I did make up 20 years.
Yeah, I agree. He should get that much. He's not getting.
I mean, that's the
20
maximum. They're probably not going to give him the maximum. I will agree with you that they won't give him the maximum because I'm agreeing with you, Denny. But they'll probably give him 15, anywhere above 10. They're never under 10 years. That's $1 million, kid. I mean, people go to jail for fucking stealing $500 worth of clothes.
Yeah, it's $1 million. If it was more than $1 million, I think for sure over 10 years. I also, and it sounds silly, but I think it matters. This is not, because we're in America, a huge story. This isn't. This is not a huge story. This is very under the radar. Obviously, this is why TYT is covering it, because other people are not really covering it. It's been, I think it's been in newspapers here and there, but it's not a big thing. This is something people are going to forget about pretty quickly, and there's going to be no political pressure on this whatsoever. So, once this leaves the news cycle and escapes people's minds, that alone will cause this person's sentence to not be as much as what it should be. Wow. I don't know. I think it's under 10.
Okay.
For sure.
I'd be right, man. How's that Elden Ring looking? Kicking ass and taking names?
Yeah. All right. So
I'm a confessor.
Minimize it there. All right, man. Let's wrap this up. I'm tired. You're tired. We're tired.
It was a good show, though. I loved it.
Good show. A lot going on. Texas primary.
A lot of coverage.
War in Ukraine. So much. We're going to be talking about war in Ukraine for a long time to come. So, we definitely want to try to put out videos more frequently. Hopefully we can. Obviously, life obstacles in the way. But anyway, that's it. Episode 5 is in the books. We're going to get out of here. As always, check us out on Twitch. Links will be below. That's it from me. Anything from you?
Not much, man. Just stay up, pay attention, be aware, do your own research, and catch me on my stream, Falco Thy Fear with a 0. And like I said earlier, man, playing some Elden Ring all day, every day.
A lot of Elden Ring.
Every way.
I'm addicted.
A lot of Elden Ring. I suck ass. I'm not. I get my ass kicked.
Gotta grind. It's all about the grind.
It's all about the grind. All right, man. Peace out. Thanks for tuning in, guys.